everybody, today we're debating flat Earth versus globe Earth, and we're starting right now. Ladies and gentlemen, thrilled to have you here for another epic debate. As you know, we're debating flat Earth today. Want to let you know, though, if it's your first time here, consider hitting that subscribe button, as we have many debates on many topics, including science, religion, and politics. And so if you would like a reminder, so for example, at the bottom right of your screen, if you'd like a reminder for that debate coming up this Saturday, well, hit that subscribe button. And we are excited to have you here no matter what walk of life you are from. Flat Earther, globe Earther, Hollow Earther, you name it, we're thrilled to have you here. So with that, we're going to jump into the debate quickly, as we have a short and sweet one tonight, but want to let you know just a couple of things. First, if you happen to have a question, feel free to fire it into the old live chat. If you tag me with @moderndaydebate, it makes it easier for me to get every question in that Q&A list. We'll also give each speaker about 5 to 10 minutes to make their, you could say, opening statement or position case, and then we'll go into open conversation. So Super Chat, by the way, is also an option. So if you do that, it'll push your question to the top of the list during the Q&A and also give you the opportunity, if you want, to make a comment toward one of the speakers that they, of course, would get a chance to respond to. Now, very excited. I'm going to first introduce Mark. Very glad to have you back, Mark. You could say one of our local friendly skeptics. It's a joy to have you coming in from Canada. Mark, we first want to say we're excited to have you. Welcome back. And also, what can people expect to find at your link in the description? Thanks for being here.
Well, what would they expect to find? A whole pile of lions and tigers. That's what I do. I work with lions and tigers. I train them. I train them for movies and commercial work and that type of stuff. And that's my life. When I'm not working with my cats, I'm working with my wife, trying to train her. And right now I got her making a tea right here for me. So that's what I do in a nutshell there, James. And then I debate stuff. Oh, Tammy says I'm a nutshell already. But yeah, that's what I do. And then I debate all these skeptics when it comes from religion to flat Earth to, whether or not we landed on the moon or not. I'm in there for any type of argument, as long as it makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to have you and Tammy both back. It's a joy to have you, and we'll kick it over to Billy. Billy, thrilled to have you back. It's been a long time. It has. Goodness. So, and coming from down under, we are thrilled to have you, Billy. Thanks so much. If you'd like to share what people can find at your link, which is in the description, folks, if you'd like to click on either of our guest links. Thanks so much, Billy.
Is that the book description? I'm not sure. I haven't seen the link. I'm sorry. But what do? I'm like Mark, I enjoy a good debate, and I enjoy people that are skeptical. And, that's a very important thing to retain. If we lose that, we lose a lot. We need to be skeptical about a lot of things that we encounter during our lives, and whether that's at a micro level or a macro level. So, skepticism will keep you safe a lot of time. It is bad, especially, and I do appreciate the point that you made, Mark, saying that you enjoy a good debate. If it's a good debate, and if it's a good topic as well. I'm not going to go debating whether Bigfoot exists or whether, the Loch Ness Monster or whether mythical creatures from Greece were real, But what I do enjoy about this topic and about flat Earth, and it just to sort of answer your question, James, what I do is I'm probably a 24/7 research. That's what I do, and especially when it comes to flat Earth. And part of what I do is actually go to the beach, and I've got a Nikon P900, and I love that. It's probably one of my, it's kept me sane during this lockdown period, because I can go for a walk, several hundred meters away and take footage pretty much every day. And I like doing that because every day is different. And what I mean by that is the atmosphere is different. So sometimes I can only see a couple of Ks away. Other times one of my latest ones, I saw wind turbine farm that was 94 kilometers away. So that sparked an interest I mean, many years ago, and I was initially a skeptic like you. I didn't enter this debate going, oh, wow, the Earth's flat. It was like, no way the Earth is flat. It can't be. You know, we've got the science behind it. We've got photos from Earth. We've got, you know, the Greeks proved it. And I'm Greek background, so that was a big, you know, like I hated it when people were saying the Earth was flat, because I thought the Greeks had proved it empirically. And now when I consider the equipment they had back then to even do so, it was rudimentary at best. So we should be out there doing it, testing it, you know, debating it. And I'm sure they will be doing it in years to come as well. So what we need to do as a society now in 2020, and over the last 5 years, we should be able to shut down this debate for further discussion in the future, you know, to prove it one way or another. And we should be able to demonstrably do that, and it should be repeatable across, you know, across the world, across the pond,
You got it.
around the world.
Thank you very much, Billy. And with that, we could jump into it. So we hadn't decided who would like to go first. Do either of you have a preference in who would go first?
Hit it, Mark. You could be the first one on the dance floor.
Okay, we can do that if you're good with that, James.
Sounds good.
Sounds to me by the silence right now that I'm expected to go right now. So all that I can say is, why would we expect the Earth to be flat? Everything that we see in outer space, we can look out there with telescopes, we can see the moon, we can see Saturn, we can see Mars, we can clearly see that they're at least pancakes. That's minimum, just looking through a telescope. Also, you know, when we look at everything out in you know, relative to the Earth, we can see that everything likes to ball up. That seems to be the way that gravity works. It works itself into a ball. And if gravity is right, then and it exists the way we think it exists, yes, everything should come together as a ball. We can look at the moon, and like I said, at minimum, it's a pancake. Can we tell that it's a sphere? No, not looking at it from the Earth, not looking at it through a telescope. We can't see the height of it, but we can see that it's at least a pancake. So what I would ask my debating partner here from down under, and by the way, we do call it down under. We don't call it, you know, over there on the other side of the pancake. We do consider it to be down and around. You know, that all seems to make sense to us. You know, what would make us, you know, really, what would make us think that it's not a ball? Why would we, you know, so to be a flat earther, basically you got to assume that we never landed on the moon, because we've looked back at the Earth from the moon. So we're going to have to say that that was fake. From the International Space Center, we can tell, or space station, we can look back, we can see that we're looking at something that seems to look at least pancake-ish, but possibly spherical as we watch it spin. You know, we got to assume, if the Earth is flat, that the entire satellite system that's up there working on all our GPS, sending us down, you know, sending radio broadcasts, you know, around the world. We got to assume that that's all fake. We got to assume that all the time delays that we see from, you know, talking to this my opponent here, this 23,000 miles away from me. Which, by the way, I'm in dark right now, and I think that my opponent will tell me that it's bright and sunny where he is. So, you know, when I look out, why can I not see any sun anywhere? I can't see any brightness. I can't look off to my east and see any sun. I can't see any brightness. I can't see anything. All I can see is a moon that is clearly reflecting the sun. Why is it that I don't see that? You know, there's so many things that seem to prove that we are on a spinning ball. And there's so many things that we need to discard as being absolutely absurd if we are on a flat earth. And I just don't see where any of that comes from. again, if we're sitting on a flat Earth, you've heard me debate this before. What is it, 9.3 meters per second, that we continually need to be accelerating to feel the gravity that we feel. Work that out over time, man. Over 100 years, we're going incredibly fast. You know, where's gravity coming from? We got so many things that we need to explain. And I see my debating opponent here that's, you know, frantically writing stuff down and getting excited.
I should be. I'm listening to everything you say.
Yeah, you know, just start explaining it. You know, how are we getting this? How am I talking to you? And look at the lack of delay from me and you talking. You're 23,000 miles away from me. You're absolutely on the other side of the earth. So go ahead. It's your turn.
Should we start there? Let's start with that one, because a very dear friend of mine who I've known for about 12 years, maybe longer, 2006, I reckon I first met him. So yeah, longer. He's a Commonwealth of Australia scientist specializing in telecommunications in Australia. And I remember when I first told him about flat Earth, he actually emailed me back and said, "Don't be stupid, angular resolution, blah, blah, blah." Since then, that was about 4 years ago. Since then, being a telco expert, he can reverse engineer the heliocentric model, and it works in his opinion. It can work the same way. Now, have you considered maximal usable frequency? Do you know what that is?
No,
like I didn't know about that, and I'm on it actually with your opening. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. I think you mentioned you work with cats and tigers, and you train. That's friggin' remarkable, And we're not gravity experts. We're not experts in telecommunications and MUF and troposcatter. Do you know what that is? Troposcatter. No. Yeah. See, there were, when I entered flat Earth, there was, I hated it. I really hated flat Earth, and it was like the no way, just like what you're saying. But there is a way. There is a way that it works. So especially when you look at communications, you'll know that 99% of our communications is not done by satellites at all. It's done by undersea cables, and you can Google that yourself. So what I had to do is I actually, after, getting over the anger, because I had friends starting on Facebook saying the Earth's flat, and I was like, what are you friggin' talking about, guys? And I was a big believer in the heliocentric model. Not that I liked Star Trek or Star Wars or any of that. I never really got into that as a kid, but I loved the heliocentric models. It fascinated me. It's brilliant by design. It makes you wondrous. It actually it actually makes you question your senses, because as we say, down under in Australia, well, we get taught that we're down under here, but has anyone really put thought into how that works? Right? Not really. If you ask them, most people in Australia don't even know how fast the Earth spins, let alone that it orbits the sun at preposterous speeds and the sun flies through the universe. They don't even know their own model. But so when you start to look at and question everything, and I'm going to go through some of the things you said, planets round, Earth round, really, I look at things, how come some planets have rings and others don't? We could say, well, Earth should have a ring, it's spinning faster than some of those. Yeah. Why don't we have a ring around of all this debris that from the collision that created a perfect sphere, a moon? Really? Two rocks? Show me two rocks colliding that create a perfect sphere in gravity. Anyway, let's move on. You said before.
You've brought up some questions there. And you've
cool. No, I haven't. I've sort of taken some notes. So otherwise, I'm going to have this later and go, oh, gee, I didn't get to bring up all these. You said, how does it work around the world? Yes, they used to say across the pond. The British still do, across the pond. To go around, you can go around the world, a ball. You could go around this ball, or you could go around, your neighborhood. Doesn't mean you went around something, and that word around is very much a part of our optics, the way we see things, because even if you stand on the flattest surface on Earth, you will be looking around you, because that's how you turn around, and these are in our built into the word. So across the pond, around me, around the block. It doesn't prove any shape of the earth. Why would we think it's not a ball, you said? Why would we not? When we really think about it, I actually never considered, I'm 50 years old now, turned 50 this year. I never considered the earth to be anything but a ball until I was 44 years old, 45. That was 5-6 years ago. Didn't even consider it. Don't even know what, maybe they mentioned it at school. I took a day off that day. I didn't even hear about flat earth, that people did think flat earth, and even the Columbus story that people would fall off the edge of I didn't know about that until I heard the absurdity of flat earth, and it was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't it? What's on the other side of a pancake? And I noticed the image that was used in the in the chat description was a tipped over disc, and I don't believe that. I don't know I used to ask, what's on the other side of the disc? Like, I don't know. They're like silly theory. Anyway, moon landings. That's one that we could have a debate on its own. I used to believe they went on the moon, but I think it was 1998 that I, saw some things that made me go, hang on. And you start to question, well, why didn't they go back? I'm 50 years old, and I said, since I'm 20, I've heard, yeah, we're going back, or even younger, we're going back. We're not there. We don't do it, so we can't use that anymore, because anything that can be done in 2020 has been done. And we'd literally have a camera pointing on the moon right now, pointing back to Earth, and I'd subscribe to that and watch Earth spin if it was real. I'd pay $20 a month. Could you imagine the business opportunity? Why don't you do it? I'll give you a good idea. Launch something, land it on the moon, show us real time that we can log in and zoom in and use these 10 cameras that you wouldn't go there and put one camera because that could fail. Go and put 10 cameras, different parts of the moon, and we could point here and there, and you'd probably have 1 million subscribers at $20 a month, and there's a good business model, right? But no one's done that. The space station, I've actually seen the space station pass me. Sorry, I'm burning the candles at both ends lately. But I've seen the space station pass 3 times. And I remember the first time I was with my son, who's now 27, so it was 5 years ago. And I said, Daniel, look at that. There's a space station. And he was wondrous. He was like, really? That's supposed to be going 17,000 miles an hour or 25,000 kilometers per hour. And it takes about 5 minutes to pass Melbourne, which is only at maximum radius 100 kilometers. So you do the math. And I've seen that 3 times. I've taken footage. It's on my channel. Satellites, I mentioned before, maximum usable frequency and troposcatter. So what that literally means, if you look it up, so we have the ionosphere, that's the troposphere, and all the different, mesosphere, whatever, stratosphere, etc., etc. Troposcatter means they literally bounce off that, and that's even on the globe model. And these guys used to think that it bounces around the Earth, and it can keep doing that. And that's your model. That's not your model. You didn't make it up, so I won't call it yours. You're just following other people, like Vatican, Jesuit priests who came up with and exaggerated this model. And if you look at it all the way through, that astounded me, because I didn't realize how much religion was involved in this. Do you know about the Kabbalah? The Kabbalah is this belief of, singularity, and it became from the Kaaba, the Kaaba and the Allah, the cube of God. Allah, God, Kaaba, and that's where Kabbalah comes from. And that's the black cube. It's freaky, man. I don't want to go there. Anyway, see the sun. Well, I've got video. If you won't go on my channel, go on YouTube, Billy Zig. I took video last week, which is about 1.5 minutes long, so not that long. But I was literally watching the sun with the Nikon P900, expecting the sun to go behind the horizon, as we always do. But it vanished in the distance. Go watch it. It's there, man. This is what and can I see that every day? No. That's why I said the atmosphere is different every day. Atmospheric conditions are different. And the Greeks never considered this, and they didn't have the technology we did. Aristotle, I'm expected to think that Aristotle, who was older than me when he came up with these ideas, went to the beach and saw a boat going, the mast of a boat going over the horizon before the hull. Mate, he must have had like eating carrots every day. His eyes must have been the best eyes in the world, because I can't do that. Can you do that? Anyway, let's go. The last two things. Absurd. You said it's absurd, right? And that's not a good place to consider. To start when you're looking at something, you should look at every possibility, everything. Can that work on a globe and a flat earth? Yeah, well, it can. We'll push that aside. What do you reckon? And then the last thing you said is about gravity. And that one, we are not gravity experts. But if we expected that there's a ball in the sky, the sun is a ball in the sky, 93 million miles away, made of mostly helium that is creating gravity. Can you show me helium creating gravity on Earth? Because helium does the opposite of that. Anyway, we won't go into gravity, because even then you could go to the core of the Earth, which is supposedly molten iron, and the temperature of that exceeds the Curie point, which means that anything that exceeds that temperature, I think it's like 600 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, could be wrong, sorry, whatever it is, it exceeds the point where it'll lose its magnetic property. Look that up, the Curie point, C-U-R-I-E. So there's a lot of problems even with gravity on why things fall.
I think this might be a good opportunity, Billy, for if this is your last point, and then just to
that was pretty much it. That was the list all the way down to gravity. So we're done. Let's continue.
You bet. We'll kick it into open discussion. Thanks so much, gentlemen. The floor is all yours.
Dude, I don't even know what to say. I just heard so many words. I don't even know where to start, James.
Did you write anything down?
Where do you, wow, where do you want to start here?
It's up to you.
Gravity.
It's cool, man. I'm cool. Can I just be honest? I've heard you talk about, even with Rose 777, I've heard your discussion. So wherever you want to go, what's your best proof of a globe Earth? And not balls in the sky. I mean, on Earth, here, ground level.
For example, I've been to Australia. So I took Qantas Airlines and I landed in Sydney, Australia, and I took off from Toronto, Canada. So that was about 23,000 miles. That is the furthest distance I can possibly go from Toronto. I can go about 24,000 miles. So by your model, you should be on the edge. Why don't you just travel that last 1,000 miles and tell me what is on the edge? What is the furthest distance from you where are you in Australia, by the way?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne. So you're on the other side. You're on the West Coast.
No, I'm on the East Coast. Melbourne is just below Sydney. So,
just below Sydney.
Brisbane,
okay, so you're as far away as I can possibly travel. What if I go another 1,000 miles from you? What am I going to find?
Further down, we can't. It'd be more than 1,000. But I'll tell you an interesting story. Josh Frydenberg, who's our treasurer in Australia, he's the national treasurer. When he got elected, he went to Antarctica and back in one day. He actually holds the record for it. Google it. Josh Frydenberg, his name is. But he literally got elected, and the next day or two, he went to Antarctica, stayed there for a few hours, and came back. So ask him. I haven't been, man. I can't go. It's a very limited place. For me to get that type of clearance is impossible. I've done the research. You could do it yourself. It's literally impossible. Now, I'll tell you a very interesting thing about the weather pattern in Australia, the weather system. If you're in Melbourne, it's friggin' cold. We get Antarctic winds here. Sydney don't get that because we're at the bottom of Australia, right? And if Antarctica is close, well, they tell you they're Antarctic winds, whether it's from the globe or the flat Earth, it is literally coming from Antarctica. Watch our news. They'll tell you, we're going to have a cold snap in Melbourne over the next few days due to Antarctic winds, a pressure system coming from the south. They literally tell you that. So You try and work it out. So, but you go on that same day, watch the weather, watch the news and the weather report. 1,000 kilometers up, it's 24 degrees. Go a bit more, 28. You know, how does that work? What? Because you're getting closer to the equator? No, it's not. It's the weather. There's so much to answer. Anyway, going back to your point on Australia, like, and what? So you travel to Australia, and that proves. Do you know what jet streams are?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So do you reckon that impacted your travel time?
And okay, it does. But I'm going to ask you again. We got to stop saying so many words when we.
I know, Mark, but you asked me to, you know, why you asked me to interrupt you. With all due respect, you asked me, why can't we just take that flight and go to the edge of the earth?
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I am asking you right now, what is the furthest distance you can go from where you are in Melbourne? Where can you go to? And how far away is it?
Right now, nowhere, because we're in lockdown.
Come on. So if you were to hop in a jet 2 years ago, and what is the furthest distance you can get from Melbourne?
That's a good point. You could go straight to Europe. You could hop it along the way. A lot of flights don't go straight.
You're looking at a 24-hour difference in our time zones. The furthest you can go is about Toronto, where I am. Why can't we go further and find that edge? You must be on the edge, and I must be on the edge by your model. There can't be any further. There's no way to travel any further for me than Australia or New Zealand. That's the farthest I can go on a jet. I can't go any further.
Cool.
You must be on the edge. You must be right there.
I heard it. Yeah. Can I answer it? You started the question with why. Like, what do you mean why? So it's something that in your mind. Let's say it was solved. What would that work? How would that work in your mind? Would you have a ka-ching moment that, oh shit, it can work? Excuse my French, my Australian, I should say. Can it work? So let's say you worked out, because I know pilots that personally know pilots. I wrote a book and I had to interview pilots on the logistics of and the accuracy of what I was writing. And they know the earth is flat. Right? They know it. They didn't want me to put names in my book, and that's why I did it as a fictional book. Because people go, why did you write a fiction? Because it allowed me then to put in stories from people that I know without naming them, including the telecommunications expert that I know that told me about troposcatter. That we have quite a few lengthy discussions now. Like, you know, and he, like, you know, when you take in. Look, how far do you live from, where do you're in Canada, right?
I'm in Toronto,
yeah, cool. So what about, how far can you see on the clearest day?
On the clearest day, let me think here. If I'm down in St. Catharines, Ontario,
losing you a bit.
I can see about.
I don't know if you can still hear us, Mark. Just checking in.
Okay, I just got a call. Just 1 sec. I'm going to get Tammy to call this person back so he doesn't keep calling us.
No problem. Good chance for us to remind you folks. Want to let you know both of our guests are linked in the description if you'd like to hear more. And so with that, we'll kick it back over to, I think Mark was partway through.
Okay, so let's do this. I got to do this. You're speaking a lot of words, and we're not getting anywhere.
We have to speak with words, yeah.
Okay, but that's fine. They can't be thousands. Okay, listen to me, please. They can't be thousands of words and then expect me to respond. So let's stick with one thing. I've asked you a question. What is the furthest distance that you can travel from Melbourne, period?
What is the furthest distance I can fly from Melbourne. Let me Google that for you, sir. Longest flight from Melbourne, 29 domestic flights. Well, the longest flight is from Melbourne, 7,927 miles or 12,757 kilometres, non-stop route to Los Angeles, LAX airport. Direct flight takes around 14 hours and 13 minutes and is operated by Qantas. So you said 23,000. You went on a flight 23,000 miles, which is about 40,000. That's 40,000 kilometers. That's right around the ball. Where did you go?
Let's slow down here.
Where did they take you? I just want to know.
Oh, God, you talk a lot. So I hopped in a jet and I flew from, listen to me, please. I flew from Toronto. I landed in San Francisco. We went from San Francisco to Hawaii. From Hawaii, I went to Sydney. How much further can I go? Either you are on the edge of this disc or I am. We are both as far apart. Please don't talk. We are as far apart as you can possibly fly. You are 23,000 miles from me. How do you explain that? You should be able to go to your backyard and find the edge.
Let's do some math. Can you just chuck some figures? So you said you went from Toronto to here, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, and that calculated your distance. Man, that's like me saying, I'm driving to my local shops, but I did 14 kilometers and it's only 1 kilometer. Why, Bill? Because you went around there, around there, around there, around there. No, direct flight we're talking about. You show me the proof that you did this, because you're presenting it as your empirical proof that it's a ball. Like, why? What does that prove anyway? What distance you traveled? What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove, Mark?
Any further, we start to come back to ourselves. 24,000 miles is as far as I can go.
Same with me. If I go around the block, I'll come back to myself, to my area. Didn't mean I went around a ball. Mark, please. Next. What's your next one? Because we're limited with time.
There has to be an edge. Where is the edge? How far away are you from the edge?
The edge of what?
Of this flat Earth.
I don't know, man. You know, Admiral Richard Byrd said there was more land. I'm of the concept. Just let me have a reply. That I'm of the, not, but I reckon there could be more land. I reckon it could be infinite. I reckon there could be more ponds, but that's just my idea. Can I prove it? Some people think there's a dome over it. I can't prove the dome as much as you can't prove gravity. Like, let's stick to Earth, what we're experiencing. You said, why would people believe the Earth is flat and not spinning 1,000 miles an hour? You know why? Because you can't prove it is. And that's why people are starting to believe and starting to consider where they're living. And there's over 200 million people now. You do the numbers, 1 in 10 people in France believe the Earth is flat. They are believing, yeah. In Brazil, it's more. Australia's borderlining that, because I mean, 4 houses up, there's a lady I bumped into. She's a flat earther now. So what are we going to do about the problem? How do we prove? How would you?
Please. Let's reel this in.
I didn't finish what I was saying, man. I didn't finish what I was saying, buddy. Please. So how would you?
How many illiterate people believe things? We don't care about illiterate people.
But would you literally? Would you present your flight? Would you present your flight as a thesis to the ball Earth?
No, I am telling you.
I don't want you to tell me nothing.
One sec. Let's hold on, Billy. One sec, Billy.
Tell me nothing.
Billy, let's give him a chance to respond. We do have to give him a chance to respond. He's trying to clarify what he was trying to say.
I don't know what to say here. There's just words that mean nothing. I haven't heard him make an argument for anything yet. I
don't want to argue with you, man. I came here to ask you for your proof of a ball, and you're giving me the flight you took. Like, really? What's the other proof?
No, please stop talking and let me ask you a question. Okay, I am 24,000 miles away from you. Where is the edge? That's all I'm asking you. How
Where are
far is
you?
the edge from you?
Where are you?
I'm in Toronto.
How far did you say we are?
About 23,000 miles apart.
Man, it says 16,258 kilometers.
Perfect.
No, that's
fine.
it. That's kilometers, sir. That's kilometers.
16,000 miles apart. That's fine.
No, sir. No. Just wait. You should stop talking for a second now, because you got even that wrong. It's 16,258 kilometers, which is only about 10. No, that's only 10,000 miles. So whatever you thought you were going on a 23,000 journey, someone took you around the block, bro. Anyway, next, what's next? That means I can't even use your flight information because I just took it by your word. And if I was to do that, I would have gone, oh shit, it is 23,000 miles or 40,000 kilometers. 40,000 kilometers, that's the circumference of the equator, according to the globe, right? But you didn't do that. So anyway, let's move on to your next one, Mark.
Anyway, I made a mistake. You are right.
I'll accept that. Cool,
oh,
good.
God, let me talk. Please let me talk. You are right. 23,000 or 24,000 miles is the circumference of the equator. I made a mistake. I flew to where you are, and it took me 23 hours to get there at about 500, 600 miles an hour. Where is the edge of the earth? You are the one that has to prove that we are wrong. You need to come up you're not going to let me talk again. You need to come up with a model that explains gravity. You are the one that needs to come up with a model that explains where do we have day and night? Why do you have weather systems that come in from the west? We have them come in from the east. Why can we explain all this stuff? And your model doesn't show it.
Done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, which one first? My model doesn't explain it. My model is, I don't have a model, Mark. I don't have a model of belief like you live. This is a model, right? That's all you have is a model. If you're in a car, model of a car, I've got a model of an aeroplane. Does that mean I've got is that real? It's not real. Come on, Mark, let's stop it with your model. Where's the edge of the earth? Like, you can't explain flights. Like, man, the only reason I tried to interject briefly was to acknowledge your apology that you got it wrong. Cool, we get shit wrong. I get things wrong too. I think on the last time I was on this show, I said Newton or Copernicus died at 23, even though I meant he discovered his theories at that age. Because it's like as if we're going to. Who cares anyway? Like, really, what difference does it make if I attack you on that? Really, you said about the sun on the. So let's say you created a system, Mark. Yeah. On Earth, you created this place and it was a system. Would you have the ability to create night and day, which is a prerequisite for every insect, every animal, every species on Earth, including us and our system, our sleeping system? So to deny that, and I don't want to get all, into creation, because that's another, I see those debates that you guys, not you guys, but that I had on this channel. And people have, not only on this channel, just in life, like, how does that work? It's, how does the video vanishing the other day work? Like, let's say it couldn't be done. And if you really looked at how the clock, or the sky clock, if you like, because we live.
Hey, James, please, let's stop. James, can you take control of this so we're not just talking about words? Somebody's got to take control of this. And we have spent a half an hour and I haven't heard anything that makes sense here.
Mark,
one question.
with all
James,
due
Well,
respect,
please.
you
we
spent 20 minutes
All I'm
one
talking
sec,
about your
hearing
one
is
sec.
flight.
words.
Okay, hold
You
on one sec.
spent 20 minutes
So
talking about your flight, which was
I
inaccurate. So
I
come
do.
on, man.
It is
Like,
It
you
is
wasted
true
time.
that Billy, you're a quick speaker, and there is nothing wrong with that. However, just to be sure that we get, because we do have limited time with Mark, and we'll have extra time where people will be asking questions. My guess is most of them will be for you, Billy. Just to, if you're able to wrap this point up in maybe like maybe 15, 20 seconds, and then we'll kick it back over to Mark before we lose him as he has limited time.
Yeah, sure. And I respect it, to everyone's, to get to the point, to say that it can't happen, that why can we see the moon during the night? But we see the moon during the day as well, but we don't see, and the moon and the sun during the day at the same time, and the phases don't always align. Anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. We see
There's
the
a lot
sun and the moon at the same time. I don't know what you're talking about. Who out there has not seen the moon and the sun at the same time?
Is that what
James,
you took from what I said? I said, and the phases don't always align from where the sun and the moon are. And you can go outside and do that yourself over time, because I've spent a lot of time with that elusive moon, if you like, because she is elusive and you don't know what she's made of, and neither do I. And you started the conversation before. Is it flat? Is it spherical? You don't even know. Do they land on there? We don't know. So let's go on ground level here, Mark, because I'm measuring water here to be level across vast distances. And that's what I'd like to really talk about, how rivers work. They flow down. Let's talk about objective reality, things that we can prove, with our, we could go replicate it. I could say, Mark, can you go and measure this largest lake in Canada? You should be doing that. You should be looking for curvature. You showed me that. Because if it wasn't for the missing curvature, there would be no flat Earth. At the end of the day, let's think about it. That we're seeing distances that far exceed the Earth curvature model. And I know you could say refraction, but refraction is not standard. So anyway, I don't want to talk. You talk, Mark. You talk.
Oh my God, wow. I think you've said every word that we have in the vocabulary of the English language, but I don't know what you are asking from me. Give me your best evidence for a flat Earth and give it to me in 30 seconds. What is your best evidence for a flat Earth, period?
It's clear that we see further than the Earth curvature model says. We see the horizon is supposed to be a physical, tangible object according to the heliocentric model. And if you're a 6-foot man standing at sea level, you should only see 3.2 miles based on the observer's height. We're seeing much further than that, Mark. We're seeing much further than that. And that water that we're seeing across is level. The specular reflection of the sun, which is a straight line path to you, cannot occur on a curved surface. And especially when we're measuring distances that are, as I said, I'm doing 95 kilometers on and a wind farm at 95 kilometers. And it, as I said, it exceeds the Earth curvature math, right? And if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be doing this.
Let's leave it at that. So by your model, it is a flat Earth. So let's do away with all curves. I am going to agree with you. It's a flat Earth. How far away do you think the moon is?
I absolutely, after 6 years of research, I don't know. See, that's the thing with me. I'll tell you, I don't know. I'm happy to do that.
It's a mile away, or do you think it's 10,000 miles away?
It can't be a mile away. It couldn't be. I don't know if it's 10,000. I don't think it's 10,000 miles away, because that doesn't work on, I don't know, sir. I don't know.
Okay, let's leave it at that. On a flat Earth, why is it that I can't go up to my highest point, which around me is the CN Tower, And with a telescope, why can I not see Chicago? Why can I not see New York City? Why can I not see the Opera Center that is in Sydney, Australia? This is your model. By your model, I should be able to see everywhere from the highest point. It's flat. It's perfectly flat. The only thing that should obstruct my view of looking at Los Angeles, California, which is 3,000 miles away, I should be able to look out with my telescope, and the only thing that should be in my way is possibly a mountain, and that is not what we see. Tell me why.
Let's take that from the very beginning of how our optics actually work. Going back to that, so let's say you're standing in a long hallway. It's apparent that the floor is ramping up and the ceiling ramps down to a point. They call that the vanishing point. The longer that you could get that hallway, you will actually get it to, and there's some brilliant structures around the world in India, going back 2,000 years old, where they, you literally stand in the middle when you've got this perfect. And now that's happening to you, to us, whether we like it or not. It happens at a micro level in a hallway, and it happens at a macro level in Earth. So and that's called angular, and there's a point of angular resolution. So the higher you go, the further you will see. We know that because even if you're on the ground as a kid, you can't see further, but to find your friend, you would have gone up a tree to see further. That works on a flat Earth. That'll work in a warehouse as a flat ground, and you took a scissor lift and elevated yourself further up, even though you know that ground is perfectly flat, you're going to see further. So you have to take everything into account, and that's where we've confused curvature for in a non-Euclidean using non-Euclidean geometry. But in a Euclidean world, we live in a world where we do have perspective to take into account, and you can't dismiss it. Why can't we see that far? That's one reason. The other reason is because you've got atmospheric conditions. Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Because
just wrapped it up. Please listen. You just wrapped it up and said that is one reason. What is one reason?
The reason why you can't see. I'm answering your question, Mark, on why we can't see that far. And the second reason is because of all the conditions in the atmosphere. Again, you've got haze. If you're looking over water, you're going to have the heat is going to sometimes create the salt particles to evaporate. It'll give you this Fata Morgana effect. And the other one is Novaya Zemlya. I can't even say that, but you've got to look into that. And the atmosphere and the heat and everything is going to, you've got pollution. We can't even see across Melbourne some days, man. It's so polluted. Go look at China. Why can't I see China from Melbourne? Why can't they see me? They can hardly see down the street, let alone seeing each other. So, let's think about how far we're seeing. Really, is that anyway, what's next?
No, you're telling me that the Earth is not a sphere because we can see further than 3 miles. And I'm saying to you, fine, I will take what you're, listen, please. I will take what you say as fact. So let's look at a flat Earth model. How far can you see on your flat Earth? It's perfectly flat with some mountains, some buildings. Why can't I see more than 40 miles, 50 miles? Why?
You actually can, Mark. And if you Google...
No, you can't.
Oh, man, you stop saying can't. Stop saying can't, because that's why you're limiting your ability to be able to research this topic properly in a non-biased way. At the moment, when you say, wait, I didn't finish, sir. You interrupted me. Please allow me to finish, because you always interject when I'm trying to answer the question. Now, to answer how far can we see, you can go on a website called Beyond Horizons, and the world record long distance photo is 273 miles, which is 444 kilometers. And
Perfect.
that is that's a non-flat Earth website, right? Nothing to do with it. It was from one mountain top from France to another top across the bay. Now, one thing we've got to take into account, you could say refraction caused
Okay,
that.
please stop. Please
I didn't
stop.
finish, sir. I didn't finish.
No, you say too many words. You talk too long.
Man, what do you want me to do? Sign language?
I'm going to ask you a question. That's
I
how
didn't
a debate
finish.
works.
James, could you mute him? I didn't finish. And the thing I was going to say, across that distance, I'm just finishing, sir. I'm just finishing, James, because this is the fundamental part about why I wanted to bring this up. Across that distance, you have at least 150 kilometers of flat, level water. And we know water is level over vast distances. So that's my answer to what's the furthest you can see. 273 miles or 440 kilometers is the world record at the moment. Thank you.
And I ask short questions and you answer with book-like answers. Should we not expect on a flat Earth to see further than 400 kilometers? Come on, just answer a question. If you're on top of a mountain looking across a area of water over to another mountain, is this absurd to see 400 kilometers?
Mark,
and on a flat Earth, should we not see thousands of kilometers?
Mark, when was the first time you heard of this photo from Pic Dead or whatever it's called when was the first time because about 3 minutes ago, you were saying, well, why can't we see 40 miles? Well, I just did 273 miles. Have you done the Earth curvature math on that? Can I just ask you that?
No,
you're taking a calculator. Wait.
Oh my God.
Sir. I'm talking words. I'm sorry that I'm talking words. Have you taken your calculator out, an Earth curvature, and used your model? And you could use the Metabunk model, or you could use the other model on, whatever you want. You use your math. Should you be able to see it? Why don't you do that? Because as an independent researcher, or you said as a skeptic, and you love being you should do it. You should be skeptical of your ball Earth. I'm over. Done.
Please tell me that you realize that if we were to go from a mountain to a mountain, we would be able to see further than what we can see across an ocean. Please tell me that you understand that this Earth is
explained that to you before. I would explain that to you before on a boy climbing a tree, and you want me to now, you're trying to say, do you understand? I don't stand under you, sir, at all. No. I'm sorry, because I know your verbiage on understand. I don't understand under you. I don't stand under you at all. Anyway, I understand. I know that. I don't understand. I know that because I told you that. Anyway, go on. What else do you want to talk about? What else is your proof?
James, are you there? Where do I go from this? I don't even know what to say. I'm trying to give you a good debate here. What do I say? I'm trying to explain to him that even if the Earth is a ball or it's flat, if we were to stand on the top of Mount Everest, of course we can see further than 3 miles. What would you like me to say? Let's end this. This is ridiculous. The part
it's ridiculous that you're not taking into atmosphere.
And he's talking over me again. Is absolutely ridiculous. Give me your next best evidence for a flat Earth. Let's give up how far we can see.
Sir, I came here for you to prove the ball to me so I could go back to that model.
Listen.
So what's your best proof? What's your other best proof? The Coriolis effect?
Reality. Reality. Oh my God, you're not letting me talk. Please give me a minute. Reality. Everything we see, every book we pick up, every single thing that we do in our lives every day conforms to a ball Earth. Tell me what about a flat Earth conforms to reality. That's all I'm asking.
Easy, sir. Easy. So you think that sunlight occurs because the Earth is spinning. I think that the sun occurs because it's coming way over the distance from there. And when it leaves me, it's about 3,000 miles away. But you think you don't understand that, you don't get the angular resolution from my height and even the way it works. Like, there are videos of them chasing the sun, airplanes. Like, you try and chase that thing if it's going 1,000 miles an hour, right? You try and do it. So, anyway, like, I actually give up on trying to convince people that Earth's. Why I don't need to do that. I'm here to get your proof of the ball.
Oh, I don't know what to do here, James. I have chased the sun. I have flown from Toronto to Sydney, Australia, and I have gone through 2 sunrises. Well, I did it. I seen the sun rise and set, and I seen it rise and set again. And you know something? At 600 miles an hour, it did exactly what I expected. So I ask you again, without a million words, what about your reality of a flat Earth does not fit with a ball Earth? That's all I'm asking. What doesn't fit our model? Period.
Number one, there's no one's detected the speed of the Earth. There's no Coriolis detection when you leave the equator and you go to the North Pole or the South Pole, which spins at 0 degrees at the poles, right?
Well,
you don't see, you don't feel, I'm sorry?
Wrong.
We do feel it.
Do. Can you let me talk to that point? We absolutely do. So we can take something. There is a reason, without smiling and thinking that I'm stupid and being.
Oh, no. I wasn't smiling at that. I was smiling that you didn't like when I interrupted you, but you just went and took over the state. Like, anyway, go on. Tell me about your proof.
When we measure the weight of gold, we do not measure it on a scale. We measure it on a balance beam. There's a reason we do that. And it is because if you go up to the equator, up to the points, so you go from the equator to the poles, there is a difference in weight. And that difference in weight is exactly what we would expect from an Earth spinning at the speed that it spins.
So it's not a difference, sir. It's not a difference to the where the scale is above sea level.
Nope.
No. All right. Okay. I've debated this on many times.
It is because of the spinning of the Earth. So it is the amount of centrifugal force. You can look it up. I know you're smiling like it's wrong.
I've done it, sir. I've done it, Mark. I'm not even going to call you sir. Mark, I've done it. I've done it. You don't know. You don't know about air pressure differentials, which create difference on scale.
Air pressure has nothing to do with.
Well, you better research that. You better research that yourself. All right? Because so far,
what are you telling me? You keep saying words.
What I'm saying, it's not gravity. Just because you have this central word that you always refer to, that you will cling to like a kid with a teddy bear, I'm not going to go with your gravity because you don't even know what it is. Which gravity is it? Newton or Einsteinian? Which one? Tell me, which one we're going for? Because they're two different things. So I'll go with your gravity theory.
My point.
Let's identify which one we're going with.
God, James, I don't know what to do.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
What we could do, we might want to take a few questions and maybe that will kind of like reset it and maybe we go back.
Let's let the people out there of reality reel this in, please.
Want to let you know, folks, both of our guests are linked in the description. Highly encourage you to check out their links. We really do appreciate these guys, as you can tell it's a wild one tonight. And so
it is. I can tell. I was coming in expecting just a normal discussion, but I knew I was going to. But whatever, I love it. You
guys are certainly the odd couple. You have some natural chemistry.
I don't know what to say, James. I can't get in a word, and I can't pinpoint one of his points. I don't know where he's going with this. He'll talk about how the furthest we can see is 200 miles. Well, then I say to him, That does not fit your flat earth model. And then I ask them to explain it. And then all I hear is millions of words that don't explain anything. So hand it over. I can stay a little longer than I thought. My wife's enjoying her first bath for a while. We're finally in a motel with a bathtub. So I got a little more time than I thought. Let the audience ask some questions and try to reel this in, and then maybe we can go from there. But right now, I don't know how to get a word in edgewise here.
We will jump into the Q&A. Brenda, thanks for your question, said, Billy Zig, why can't you see Polaris from Australia?
That's, again, so let's pretend that you're in the largest warehouse in the world. This warehouse is like 10 miles wide, like from all corners. You're standing in the middle of this warehouse and the ceiling is only 20 feet high, and there's a light standing above you. You can see it clearly. But let's say you went 10 miles to the outer perimeter of this warehouse. Would you see Polaris? No, you wouldn't. Perspective, you're so far from that light above. So look, I know my perspective, the ratios were wrong on what I did, but look, why don't we see it? Why don't I see a southern star here is what I'm more concerned about. I live in Australia. You could point your P900 at any star and create a star trail. Does that mean every star is the southern star? Look,
Sure.
That's my best explanation for that. So it's actually a good question. So I love that question.
Okay, we must move on to the next one. So sorry to just because we have a lot.
Let me answer, James, and I'm shorter. What I would say to him is, yes, if you were in a warehouse and there was a light 10 miles away, with our eyes, we would not see it. But yes, with optics, so in other words, we could take a telescope and yes, we would see it, period.
Thanks so much. And this question comes in from Soldier of Science, who said, for Billy, my grandfather was a tracker for the Gemini program. I grew up in California with literally thousands of people working for private companies that contributed to the space program. Were they all deceived?
Not all deceived, I wouldn't say that. That's a far stretch to say. Let's say there's a wicked corporation and the guys at the top, the CEO, the finance guy, the chief operator, but are the rest of the staff in on it? No way. They're just following orders. What about the guys at the Parks radio platform here? What were they doing? What were they tracking? They were being fed data, a lot of people. Did they send things up? Yes. How far did they send them? We don't know. So I hope that sort of answers it. I can't say he was deceived. I'm not going to say he was deceived. Was he deceiving anyone? Was he part of it? No, I don't know. Yep.
Thanks so much. And this question comes in from Anthony Chicante. Says, check out, quote, the great switcheroo, unquote, Mark. Your eyes are spherical. Just because you see circles in the sky doesn't mean you're on a ball.
That's actually a really good video, the great switcheroo, and the
it's a question for Mark though.
Oh, sorry.
What would you like me to answer? So because my eyes are spherical, I see circles in the sky?
They said your eyes are spherical. Just because you see circles in the sky doesn't mean you're on a ball.
I agree.
Deal. Next up, P. Barnes, thanks for your question, said, please don't speak for or assume the knowledge of the average Aussie. Thanks, Billy. Next, thanks for your question. This one comes in from Mike Billars. Says, Mark, did you know the Boeing 747 has an upgraded version that was made in Canada? It's called the Boeing 747A.
Hey, there you go.
I get it. Nice. Spart 344. Thanks for your question. We got two from Spart. One is where did I just see it? There it is. Patreon question for Billy. The questions for Newtonian gravity can be derived from Einstein's equation.
That's true, because they all are just equations, and they're just built on top of each other. One thing that I'll say is the formula for gravity does require radius as a fundamental aspect of it. So if we can't find the radius of the Earth, then you got to redo the whole formula, because they built that formula to explain how a person in Australia could be standing upside down. That's what the whole thing was about. And both models still require objective proof of the radius of the Earth. And I think there was a astrophysicist, can't remember her name, but she was interviewed, and she said, well, to measure the gravity, you need to measure 1 million places around the Earth or something, she said, like that. And it's never been done. I'd love it if it was done. I had a thing called Test the Curve day, and it was about doing this, getting out there and doing it. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anyways, at any rate, we do have people out there in the scientific field that do work out what the gravitational pull is around the Earth, and we do find areas of slightly higher gravitational pull than others, and we do it with 2 separate satellites that fly several miles apart. I don't know what the distance is, but they actually pick up these microscopic differences in the gravity of Earth. And you can look it up. Yeah, we find areas where the gravity is slightly higher than others, but I don't know anywhere in the formula for working out gravity. You're telling me that the arc of the Earth is required to work out the gravitational pull?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I can give you a short.
Whereabouts is that in the formula? Can you tell me where in the formula we find where we input the radius of the Earth? Perhaps somebody out there could help me with this, because I don't know where we put that formula.
I can give you a chance to answer, Billy, and then we got to go to the next question.
Cool. If you reference gravity across a lot of, the radius was absolutely what it was. And I went to Wikipedia and just went gravity, Wikipedia, and then did find radius, and you'll see even there's a radius required. There's better articles that refer to it, but you fundamentally, so Eratosthenes, right, when he apparently measured the radius of the Earth, it was Henry Cavendish that later used his formula to formulate the gravitational. He needed that formula in there. So what was Eratosthenes doing? He was measuring the Earth's radius, and that was always carried through as a given. If we do believe in the dates and whatever, like I'm sort of question a lot more than flat Earth. I question history. I question all these people. Who were they? I never heard of it. Being Greek, I never heard of Eratosthenes till flat Earth came up, and you'd think I would have known about him. Anyway.
Thanks so much.
James,
I hate to do this, but we do have to go on. We've been on this question a long time.
Just ask a question, James, please. I will ask our audience out there, and they can do it as super chat. Please let me know where I would input in the formula for working out gravity, the radius of the Earth. I will ask that of all the scientific people out there, because I'll be damned if I know what the radius of the Earth has to do with gravity.
In fact, Mark, they say that if the formula is off by 10%, if the radius or the equator, the distance around the, if it's off by 10%, then the whole thing falls flat, right? The whole thing, pardon the pun, the whole thing, the whole model. Hey, I've heard them say that. I've heard scientists, I think it was Neil, not scientist, he's not a scientist, but I've heard him say, Neil deGrasse Tyson, or one of them say it from, anyway, don't shake your head, man. I was shocked as well. You're either shaking your head in shock or in disbelief. I don't even know which one.
What you're talking about. I'm hearing words and it makes no sense, but I've asked the audience to answer us. Go ahead, James.
We must keep, we have Spart344 says, for Billy, first and foremost, Kabbalah is Jewish mythicism, it means, quote, reception, unquote, to receive the word of God. It has nothing to do with Islam, you Aussie soy boy. Love from South Africa.
It absolutely does, and good on him with his soy boy. I don't even know what that meant until, like, again, like, how does he even use these words? But it absolutely does. And the Kaaba is a cube or of Allah. Like, stop it. The words are everything. Just because he doesn't know, and what do you do? A quick Google search on that? This is a known fact. And even underneath, and even on Saturn, if underneath Saturn they've taken a hexagonal shape, and you take a hexagonal shape, you can transform that into a 3D cube, which is what they always worshipped. And they worship Saturn and Saturnalia and Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Please.
Okay. Thank you.
Next question.
Next one. Mike Billars, thanks for your question, says, Billy, how can you and someone in Brazil both look south and see the same stars/constellations?
At the same time?
They didn't say.
If the sky clock above is spinning, of course, a few hours or 10 hours later, I'm gonna see those stars here. But he was seeing them at the same time. Bring it on. You guys should do those experiments, because it would debunk it, flat Earth big time. It would wreck it. I reckon you guys should do that. Thank you for the question.
Gotcha. Thanks so much, Spart344, who says, for Billy, your entire argument is one of, quote, I do not understand X phenomenon, therefore the Earth is flat. Mark, please weigh in. So I guess we'll give you.
I don't know what to say. I've heard so many words that I just don't understand here. I don't know what his point is. I haven't heard anything tonight that props up a flat Earth. I've just heard massive amounts of words. I've heard that somebody has seen 200 miles, which I would expect on a global Earth, but I would expect on a flat Earth to be able to see thousands of miles, and he hasn't explained why we can't.
Why would you expect to see that far? And, it was only you 20, 30 minutes ago that said the furthest you could see is 40 miles, and I took it to 273, and now you can't even remember you won't even add the 73 on the end, you just call it 200 miles, man. Go out there. What's the furthest? Where do you live? Go out there and go to the nearest lake and measure the curvature. You'd be famous.
Yeah, but I do. I happen to live on a lake. I live on Lake Ontario. And it just so happens that from where I live down in Niagara, from there to Toronto is about 30, 40 miles, and I can see the CN Tower. But even if I was to get a telescope and look the other way, east, I would not be able to see the tallest buildings in Ottawa. So
how far is that?
Please.
How far is Ottawa? Actually, you should be more accurate.
We got to give Mark a chance to respond, and then we're going to go to the next one.
Ottawa, we're looking at about 200 miles. I can't see it, but would I expect to stand, say, on the top of the highest mountain and see to the next highest mountain, and that be 200 miles away or 270? There's nothing about that I wouldn't expect, whether the Earth was flat or curved. Of course, from mountain to mountain, we're going to see higher. So what are you talking about? Standing on an ocean or standing on a mountain looking at another mountain? It makes no sense what you're saying.
We've heard from each of you. We do have to go to the next one. Lael is here. Thanks for your question. Said, Billy, the Egyptians had geometric math for 5,300 years back then. They believed the flat Earth, and there is still not a mathematical model.
A mathematical model, and that's very interesting. I love that comment. And even the Egyptians were very intelligent, and they had even the pyramid had pi built into it, the ratios for pi, and Pythagoras went there. We all thought Pythagoras was he invented these formulas. He actually took this math that was encoded into these buildings. Incredible stuff. And they, what did they need to? A mathematical model. That's interesting. Like, math is a language at the end of the day. Like, did they have the language? And it's always, it keeps evolving. Like their languages, their math language was, phew, I'm going to say they knew quite a bit more than, like, if they knew pi back then, they knew math well before we did, you know.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your question. This one comes in from Tim Pryor, who says, people in the chat are saying flat Earth is winning. Ha ha. Meanwhile, in the real world, where flat Earth has not made an impact at all other than entertainment, but I guess entertaining people is kind of winning.
It's interesting, you know, and I agree. You know, if you do the numbers, most people do believe they live on a spinning ball until you bring it up. I talk about this quite often with people online and in real life. And when I really, you know, when I bring up with people, most people are open to the discussion. They're not, you know, it's like, wow, I never thought of that before. What am I? Where am I? You know, there are three things. Yeah. Anyway, like whether winning is I don't know, flat Earth is winning. So what if it's winning in the discussion? But in real life, you know, they're winning because they've convinced the world that we live on a spinning ball flying through an endless infinity of space, and we're created by stardust. And you know.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thanks for that. And thank you so much, Mike Bildars, for your question saying, so, the sun, why can we see it at all? It's got to be at least 100 kilometers away, right? Going through all that atmosphere and dust.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point exactly.
100 kilometers away? No, I think when the sun is setting, and if we base it off, you know, we know that Melbourne is about it's 4,000 kilometers away from Perth, and about 1,000 to the west of Melbourne. So when the sun is setting here in Melbourne, it's actually got about half hour before it sets in Adelaide, because we even know that through time zones. Adelaide is half hour behind Melbourne time zone. And then if you look at Perth, which is 2 hours and 3 hours in daylight saving, they would get the sunset about 3 hours later. And if you compare that across the distance, the sun is probably 3,000 miles away when it's setting from you, but it's just an illusion that is going over curve. And even they say, even based on the heliocentric model, that when the sun goes over you could see the sun there. And let's say you could still see the whole sun over the horizon. The heliocentric model tells you it's already behind the curve, and it's refraction that brings it up. And I've known that for 20 years because I used to explain that to my kids, and that's what the heliocentric model tells you. So
gotcha.
What do we know about the sun? How far is it? You know, like, that's why before when you ask me, how far is the moon? How far is, I can't say.
Appreciate it. And this question comes in. We've got Alan Green, appreciate your super chats, said, in the flat earth model, shouldn't everyone experience sunrise? Namely, the sun is at the horizon at the same time?
Not necessarily, no, because the sky is like a clock, and it was made to be a clock, like a sky clock that brings you, you know, daylight when you need it, and it works around, like, so, you know, it goes around, you know, starts here, and I'm talking distance, and, you know, if you compare height to how high the sun is, sure, if the sun was so as far as what they say in the heliocentric model, it should light this whole face of the Earth, but no, what it does is it's, you know, like that. You could take a lamp in a dark environment, you know, large environment, and just go around, take it, you know, with a shade, because it obviously shines down, not up into the sky, you know, lighting up everything. So it's reality. You could replicate that on a ground in a dark room, basically. Think about it. Just think. Like, don't worry what people laugh at you about, because you're considering that the Earth could be flat. Look, if it can work on that and that, then just say we don't know. You're better off.
Gotcha. And thank you for your question. Stupid whore energy strikes again.
Thank you.
That's
it's
right.
About time.
She's here, and she says, why doesn't the angular size of the sun change throughout the day, though?
It kind of does. And if you look at, or not the angular size from our perspective, you'll see that it starts down there. And as it comes closer and it's at zenith, right above you at noon, it's probably, to our perspective, it's its highest point. And then it tapers back down. And you can literally go stand in the middle of your street and make sure the street pole's going that way, the street pole's going that way. And you can see that with street poles. You'll see it converging away, and everything does. And, you know, you cannot discount, that's what I was saying before, even with a hallway or a street or even a railway line where you see we've got this effect happening. So, you know, was it ever meant to be discovered? Maybe it wasn't meant to be discovered. Have you ever thought of that?
Gotcha.
Anyway, good question. Good question. All of them.
Next, thank you, Rory Bjorkman says, Billy, where does lava come from?
Don't know, man. Don't know. All I know is we've only drilled down 7.8 miles in the Kola Deep borehole done by the Russians. And that's the furthest they've gone. So where does it come from? What's underneath? Where does the water come from? You know, now we're finding out that there's more water under the Earth's surface than there is in the oceans. Did they know that 30 years ago? No, they didn't. This is new science that we're discovering.
30 years ago, we knew how much water there was in the Earth. Come on. Let's
in
not
the Earth, in the Earth or on the Earth?
Absolutely. We have known for a long time that there is a lot of water that is absorbed in the Earth. I'm 52 years old and I've known that my whole life.
Yeah, cool, nice one, man. You know, but can we, you know, how far down is that? They haven't drilled that far, but it seeps through the earth, and you know, I don't know what it does.
No,
it doesn't. We haven't gone that far. But anyway, to answer the person's question, what does lava come from? I don't know. There's some sort of, you know, there's some sort of heat underneath that obviously creates molten and earth and everything. I'm not denying that. I don't know. All right. And you know what? If any flat earther tells you that they know, they're lying. I'd rather say I don't know.
You got it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got that. Thank you so much. We have Anthony Chicante, seems to be a real critic of yours, Mark. Basically,
he's actually.
I could have sworn, didn't we just have Anthony on? I can't remember. But Mark, this might be. It looks like Anthony might want a piece of you. They said, James can't help you, Mark. You can't give him a debate because you haven't done any research. This is a slaughter. Mark, it sounds like he wants a piece of you.
Well, I don't know what to say. I've heard a ton of words. So if this debate's about how many words you can speak in between each other speaking, I will tell you, he has slaughtered me. But nothing he has said has made any sense. Somebody asked him a question, and somehow we talked about the pyramids and pi, which has nothing to do with the flat Earth. Explain to me, what do the pyramids and 3.14 have to do with anything? What are you talking about?
3.142 to the infinite. It does, because if you recall what the caller or the person asked, they said, how come the Egyptians didn't work out all the flat earth math, right? And I was trying to answer that the Egyptians actually were very intelligent with their math. And the caller did say that they believed the earth was flat, like every culture back then did. Quite ironically, that they all thought there was a dome above them, even the Aboriginals, and they had no connection, no telephone, no emails, no travel. They didn't communicate. For some reason, they all thought the earth was flat and there was some sort of protective dome. And there's a sky clock. That's what they said.
Next up.
I find that fascinating.
You're absolutely right. Many years ago, man was ignorant. I will give you that. You're absolutely right. We used to be ignorant. We have learned since then. Good point. Thank you.
Next up. Thank you.
That's an excellent. Can I just go on that? And
the last ones I can't. Anthony, the last super chat we read was an insult to Mark. We can't gang up on him. Next up, besides, we have plenty more insults from Mark from Anthony.
That's not in.
Next, I'm sorry. It's just that it's the last one. I can't. I don't want to gang up on Mark. We do have to give him the last word because the super chat was originally for him. Caleb, thank you for your super chat. Said Mama Earth is like standing for truth, flat and thick. Nasty guy. All right. Tim Pryor, thanks for your question, said, do the math. The world record photo matches the globe. Even the photographer says so. As flat earthers say, do research.
Do research. And I like that because in that discussion, you'll see, I remember being one of the first person that found that photo because it was in my days of doing research. And I thought, oh, what's the furthest anyone's taken a photo? And I looked that up and none of that discussion was in there. If you look at the date, that's a lot of recent discussion. A lot of people are trolling the guy that took the photo, like flat earthers in particular. Hey, you shouldn't be. Refraction is his answer. He brings up refraction. But that's why I brought up the physical property that we can measure, which is water over the sea that they're measuring. And we know that water is level over, like it's measured as level. Science tells us that the law of hydrostatics suggests that water's level even over vast distances.
No, it's not.
Next up.
Absolutely not.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Water has never been determined as being level. I have never heard that in my life.
Hydrostatics, Google it.
Next up,
Not
Robert
even-
Summers, thanks for your question, said gravity isn't different for Newton and Einstein. Why would you say that, Billy?
Well, Newton tried to define gravity as things falling. What Einstein said it was the curvature of space and time because the model had changed by then. Like there was one point that if you look at, they believed in a heliocentric model, but it was like the sun was here and all the planets went around it. But now what we're learning, or what the heliocentric model says now, is the sun is flying through the universe at 500,000 miles an hour or then some. And the Earth is, doing 365, doing orbits around that sun, taking 365 days to do so, spinning, once a day, one revolution per day, while the universe is expanding. So they're two different theories entirely. Gotcha. And if you
okay.
Anyway.
Fair enough. Thank you. And Anthony Chicante wants a piece of Mark. So, Mark, you guys might have to debate at some point. I don't know. But next, Rory Bjorkman. We got Rory's stupid whore energy strikes again. She says, Earth is a lil flatty. She a lil flatty. Earth is my lil blue thing. Next up, Tim Pryor, thank you for your question, said, mass takes up space. If space does not exist, where does flat Earth reside?
Is that for me?
Yep.
Sorry? Must
yeah.
be. Who knows, man? Who knows? Like what's below? How far? What is the foundation, or what is the deep, and what is below? I don't know, man.
Nice.
I don't. You know what? I have this thing I say. There are three things we don't know. We don't know where we came from. We don't even know what we're doing here. We don't even know where we're going. And I hope as a psychologist, you can understand, as you can appreciate that, James, because there are, there's things that we don't know. And I don't know, because we...
Psychologist in training, not there yet, though thank you. And Area 85 Restorations has a question for you, Billy. They say, my standard question, in parentheses, I work as an engineer at a rocket launch and test site, and how is it possible that I am, quote, being deceived, and no, compartmentalization isn't possible given what I do.
So did he sort of elaborate on what he does? I know he said engineer, but so what? He's making
at a rocket launch and it's at a rocket launch and test site. They're an engineer.
Put it this way: if I owned a rocket launch and test company and I was a CEO and I was getting contracts left, right, and center from NASA, I'd be able to deceive my staff. So what? You're setting things up. Where are they going? I've seen a lot of things with the things. But congratulations to him, because I reckon that would be an awesome job, to be honest. And I've got a bit of an engineering background. I love tinkering around with things, but I could, seeing what I've seen, like you're setting things up.
Gotcha.
How far's it going?
Hey, James.
Yep.
So countries that can't get along, we've got Russia, we've got Canada, we got the United States, we have Europe, we have every country you can think of across the earth that has troubles getting along on a day-to-day basis are all lying that there's an international space station. Just think about that. We've all been there. Canada's been to the International Space Station, the United States, Australia, Japan, Russia, you name it. We've all sent people to the International Space Station, and they're all lying.
We have no Australian that's been to the International Space Station yet. Everyone believes it.
I'll give you the last word, Billy, but you get 15 seconds.
We don't have one astronaut in Australia. Show me an Australian astronaut that went to the International Space Station. Really? Come on,
must move I hate to say it.
Could they collaborate? Yes, because they do that with the Antarctic Treaty, where 50-odd countries all have done that since many, many years, and they have these treaties. And to be honest, move on.
I hate to do that, but Stupid Whore Energy cannot wait for an answer. It says radius comes in when calculating the distance from the center.
Right.
The center of what? A ball?
Center of the ball. It's exactly it.
You should have arc radius for that, which is measurable, and that's what we call spherical trigonometry. So if we are at a ball, and it is a central point here, inside this, at the middle, we extrapolating out to the outer boundary of the ball, we should now be able to measure this radius, this arc radius of the Earth, which is where the whole problem started with flat Earth. Because a guy in Michigan took a 60-mile photo and that got shared. They tried to say it was an inferior mirage. We now prove that wrong. And there's a big problem. So
next.
Excuse me?
And privacy.
Three Australians have been to the International Space Station.
What are their names?
Look them up.
Next up.
Australians.
Three Australians. Every country that I can think of has been to the International Space Station. And even though we can't all get along and we all argue back and forth, we're all keeping the International Space Station a big secret, and it's a big con, and it's all a conspiracy. Think about that.
Is that why you can't get over it? Because there's been many, many conspiracy theories that have been proven to be true, that all worldwide governments have collaborated together with, including the Cold War and, America and Russia. Like, you could think, the real story on why they had that Cold War, man. You got to dig into that. Have you seen what's now coming out with Russia and Biden and SEAL Team 6 just within the last days, mate? These guys have been colluding together for ages. It's talking about that they gave Iran $152 billion just to shut them up. Right?
Next.
And this is hot off the press. You're going to see this coming out.
I hate to cut you short, but we have so many questions. Timothy Foster, thanks for your question, said, is Billy confusing the R in the gravity formula for radius because it stands for the distance between two objects?
Exactly.
And there are other, go look at the gravitational constant, which I brought up, that was made by Eratosthenes, that he later then used that formula. Cavendish did in his findings for the gravitational constant. Google that. Go Google gravitational constant and tell me whether it requires a radius. Okay?
Gotcha. It does not. It does not. It is not
moving
in the formula. Period.
Must keep moving. Thank you guys so much. We also, by the way, as a side note, if you're enjoying this stream, if you are pleased by it, hit that like button, as the word on the streets is that it helps. I don't know, maybe. But Defo Bryso, thank you for your question, said, Billy, the globe Earth has been measured. The, quote, flat Earth hasn't been measured. You don't debunk a measurement with denial and no better measurement.
It has been measured by who?
Everybody.
Mark.
Eradicators by 2000.
Satellites.
Satellites are very,
Our navigation system.
Discussion because
Every single piece of technology that we rely on requires a spherical Earth to work. Everything from GPS. I know everything's a conspiracy, but you need to explain why when I get in my car, it counts down the amount of satellites that it's connecting to so it can triangulate where I am. And they've gotten so accurate now. When I pull off into a gas station, it tells me to turn around. That's how accurate it's gotten. How does it do it? How does it do it from ground-based antennas? Please tell me.
Have you heard of Lauren? Is it Lauren? Yeah. Come on, man. Ground-based triangulation. I already mentioned before that my mate is a Commonwealth of Australia scientist specialising in telecommunications. And don't tell me to stop like your Kamala Harris talking to friggin'
Please. Loran systems in airplanes are 25-year-old technology that used to work on radio.
Go look at me. Just GPS.
Please.
Stop.
Please. Loran systems worked off of radio broadcast towers years ago, 25 years ago, and it was used in airplanes. It's old technology. We don't use it anymore. We use satellites, which is called GPS, not Loran.
Next up,
go look into Marconi and how long the furthest signal was well before satellites, man.
Gotcha.
Well before.
We must go to the next one.
I
appreciate it. Layal is here. Thanks for your question. Said, if the sun is further away, the known distance across the U.S., which is 3,000 miles, then why can't I see from the highest point in California to New York?
Again, you want to see right across America, and you want, anyway. Right. 3,000 miles you want to see now.
Of course.
You're not Superman, mate. You're not going to see 3,000 miles away, okay? In the best condition, with the best telescope. Why? I don't know. Why don't you get them to get the Lucifer binocular system? There's the strongest binoculars in the world. Go look that up. Lucifer, it's called. Go look it up and get them, rather to point it upwards, point it down and look across. Hey, let's do that. They've got the technology. What do you want me to do? You guys should be demanding this. Like, prove it. They can't even prove the balls up there.
No,
you reckon what you're seeing up in the sky is real, that Mars is so far and they've got objects on Mars and the rovers?
We've been there. And
the rover doesn't even have a selfie stick, but it takes a picture of itself? Really? Come on, man. Go and question it like an adult. Forget about that you got lied to by your dad, your mum, your uncles about Santa Claus. How could they all lie to me? Why would they all lie? You know why they lied? It was about controlling you, and they did it very successfully. And now, because you are still in that mode, you can't move on. You don't want an adult lie to be, which I do realize if, when this does come to fruition, like to the masses, it's going to change the world. It's going to revolutionize things. And I would lie to if I was NASA, I would keep the lie going too, because I know people can't handle the truth.
Okay, thank you. We got to go to the next one. I hate to do it.
James, can I just add one thing? The reason we know what we know is because we've gotten off of our asses and we've gone out and we've proved it. All I ask my Australian friend to do is get off his ass.
I do it every day. Go check out my videos on my channel. I'll watch your videos on your channel, and you show me one experiment that you have done to prove the shape of the Earth you live on, and I will gladly watch it. But I do it every day, and I upload my videos.
We have so many questions. So sorry to do this, guys. Tim Pryor, thanks for your question, said, flat earthers have the same access to knowledge that we do. I have a telescope, and in college, I went to Antarctica. Sorry, flat earth debunked already. 24-hour sun.
24-hour sun. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of those videos that show a 24-hour sun. I would say there's 24-hour light in certain times of the year, but not 24-hour sun. You know what? There should be dozens and dozens of videos of that. And there's not one video that isn't doctored in some way, right? Just like the images of the satellites in space that all, you know, Google it. Image of satellite in space, real life photo. Really?
Gotcha.
Who took the photo of the satellite?
Mike Villars.
So everybody in northern Alaska that has experienced 20 hours of daylight in the summertime and 20 hours of dark in the night are lying.
They're not lying. They just don't know what their model is, Mark. They don't know where they're living. They never questioned it.
Keep going.
Don't worry about they're lying.
Mike Villars.
I
hate to do this, guys. Mike Villars has a question.
Let's go to the next question. These are cool. Let him, you know.
He says, Ziggy, if the sun is 3,000 miles up on the flat Earth, why did I have to look down to see the sun on my last flight?
So I didn't say it was 3,000 miles up. I said it was 3,000 miles away when I'm seeing it vanish over the horizon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't say that. So
okay.
Just to clarify that.
By the way, moderators, do me a favor, please, mods, don't delete anybody's comments unless if it's hate speech. Feel free. In fact, I ask, please do delete anything that is hate speech. But if it's harassment, like if somebody's going after somebody in the chat, give them a warning. And then if they keep doing it, then feel free to block. But it looks like there might have been a couple of times tonight where I was like seeing people get deleted, and I'm like, please don't do that. We don't want to do that to people if they're not breaking the rules. So thanks for your question. This one comes in from Anthony Chicante. Mark's new arch nemesis says, it doesn't change angular size because it spirals. I think they mean maybe the sun. So as it goes around, it is also going up.
I don't know. Not my model.
Gotcha. And Tim Pryor, thanks for your question. Let's see. We've got maybe this is, I think, for you, Billy. He said, flat earthers, I don't know, but I know it's not this. I think he's making fun of you, Billy.
No, look, you guys don't know your own model. Like I'm telling you, man, I've been doing this for, I moderate one of the largest groups in the world on this, 138,000 people. And you people, the heliocentric zealots, don't know their own model. And once you explain the model to them, then they, we have more people that turn to flat Earth and to a globe Earth, come on. So what don't I know? I don't know a lot of that. I'll admit it. I'll admit when I don't know how far the sun is. Well, you guys don't know that. It's been much debated over the years. It went from 3 million to 13 million to 30 million to 90 million to 40 million to no. And they said, it doesn't matter. As long as the math works, it is what it is, and that's acceptable to you. So I would rather say I don't know. And all those numbers that I could quote from who they came from. They're all, your priests, your heliocentric priests, your sun-worshipping priests.
Thank you. Spart344 says the distance is from the center of mass. To be more specific, Earth is a sphere, therefore radius. It works beautifully. Please apologize to Perger1 for me for a joke gone wrong. Oh, that's right. I think one of them, Perger1, if you're still out there, I think he accidentally banned you. So, he didn't mean to do that, and we'll pull you out of the ban list. Sorry about that. And but yeah, that last question though for you, Billy, if you still remember it, otherwise I can read it again.
Go again. Something about the rate, the distance from the center of mass.
That's right. So I'll read it again real quick.
And who measured the mass?
They said the distance is from the center of mass. To be more specific, Earth is a sphere, therefore a radius. It works beautifully.
It can look mathematically. It's beautiful math. It is actually fantastical, actually, and it'll dazzle. It'll dazzle the brain. But is it reality? Yeah, is it reality? Who measured this? Who accurately measured the sun. They reckon they've measured the sun. Who measured the sun? How did you measure the sun? Tell me.
Gotcha.
We don't need to go there, but we can measure it. Sure.
Thank you. Sisu, thanks for your question. Said, how do you explain gravitational lensing, shift in the position of stars when passing by the sun? How does this light bend if not by gravity?
Well, what about the ether? And that was a very hot contested topic 100 years ago. But Einstein eliminated the ether entirely, even though a lot of people, and I've got a book here, this book in particular, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, written at about 1900, and they talk about the ether so much in here. You know, it's nothing to do with the globe Earth, but they talk about how even telepathy can travel through this ether, these waves, and, you know, and scientists actually are now using and thinking about the Earth in a different way. It's electromagnetic, something that was never considered while Newton, by candlelight, formulated his hypothesis about his theories. And he didn't even have electricity or magnets or anything. Neomagnetism is huge now.
I hate to keep you short. Adam Elbilia, thanks for your question. His birthday yesterday, another year wiser, says, James, let's see, please. He said, please ask Billy, what does he think about the independent measurements of the distance to the moon using lasers? Is this also conspiring?
That's very interesting, actually. Like, they use lasers, and I've seen we're told that there's reflectors on the moon, and they left them there on the moon mission. But what we do now know is that MIT have been bouncing lasers off the moon since 1962 or 61. It could have been, I think it was 62. And they did that before the reflectors were put there. So how fast is the laser? Did they measure that? You know, there's so many variables, man. And you're talking a laser. So with the laser and any light, it's going to disperse. So the accuracy of this laser to hit 238,000 miles away, or 400,000 kilometers plus, is so, or just under, is so friggin', you're going to think of, so this, every laser will disperse. Light at the end, you can do that. You can do that yourself. So
next. Thanks so much. Appreciate
fast
that.
Bouncing? We don't know.
Gotcha. And thanks. This is from Tim Pryor. He says, funny how you can get two observers using simple trigonometry can calculate how fast, how high, and how big the International Space Station is. Imagine that.
You should be able to do that. And I question, because I've seen it with my naked eye, and if they say it's 250 miles away, 400 kilometers roughly, the size of a football field. And I question whether I was 200, it's literally like me claiming I can see an ant at the end of my street 700 meters away if you put it all in relative to the size, distance, and distance parallax, motion parallax, and everything else. So
you got it.
Good question.
Seems that I get no questions there.
Oh, so go for it, man. Mark, please.
So on the previous answer, he said that the light from lasers disperse, fan out. But then on the next question, he answers that we shouldn't be able to see the space station because it's the size of a football field. Can that light not also disperse and become wider as it makes its way down? Can we not get lensing off of the space station so that we can see it?
I get what you mean, but we're not talking about the two apples and oranges here. Let's compare that. We're talking about, and even lasers. If you look at that, do you know they've slowed the speed of sound down to 19 miles per hour? 19
Why would
miles.
that surprise you? We can
because it depends. So the medium, Mark, I'm hearing you, man, but the medium matters. The medium that you're shining the laser through matters as well. So let's say you're shining it in a fish tank with salt water, sugar, and you measure that beam, it's different. So we're taking things that they said in the 1960s and taking it as gospel, and even earlier than that, actually.
We must move to the next
Move
one.
on.
David Valar, thanks for your question, said, again, you flatter. Why can't we see from Los Angeles to New York with a telescope?
I know.
That's
Why
all I
can't-
want to know. That's my question. Period. Why can't I simply see 400 miles across the lake to Chicago, the tallest building?
Gotcha. Next up, thanks so much for your question. This one comes in from Robert Summers, who says, sorry, I didn't see all, but does Billy deny all satellites? Why do our private companies have indexed satellite fleets?
I don't deny satellites. I deny the way the technology is. So, for example, you can look up satellite balloons, and there's a really good, if you go on YouTube, just type satellite crashing in Australia, and you'll see they launch it off with a balloon. They release it from its tether with the crane, and because it was really windy, it literally crashed and took out 3 cars as it just took them out as it was drifting over the land. And that's your satellites, man. They've been doing that since 1960. If you look at the first satelloon that was sent out there, so satellites do exist, but are they what they tell us? And in my book, I wrote about what they call a HAPS, high altitude pseudo satellite. You can Google that, and they're brilliant. And they can stay aloft for months on end autonomously. You can just set it and forget it to go. So we've got so much, they've got so much that, well, we do, because it's ours too, but we've got so much technology that doesn't require something to be 24,000 miles away from Earth orbiting. Yeah.
Next up, thank you for your question. Mike Billar says, question still remains. If I had to look down to see the sun on my flight, then airplanes can travel higher than the sun. Could we fly into the sun?
Well, NASA reckons they're flying. They've got a mission going to the sun. They've got some, space mission going there. They're going to touch the sun, grab some of it and measure what it is. And well, I just don't believe that we can. Look, there's a guy called Pilot LX, if you look him up, Pilot and LX. And if you Google him, he's a commercial pilot, 40,000 feet, and he'll show you some amazing footage where I'm baffled by what I see. This
Gotcha.
world's amazing.
Seek truth, speak truth. Thanks for your question. Said, if you can see the sun, if it's 3,000 miles away, why can't you see 3,000 miles across America? Flat Earth, dead.
There seems to be a big argument that because I can't see something that far, what do you want to see right across the world? I get this. I get this Superman concept that I'm standing here, and if I go high enough that I should see everything. No, because atmospheric conditions, there's haze, there's, dust storms along that way. There are so many things. There's raining, there are storms, there are, your heights, you need to get high enough. And even if you could, and now, we're seeing further than we can because of the technology available. Like, yes, we can see further than we should, but you aren't going to see, Perth from Australia. You're not going to see, New York, the Statue of Liberty from Toronto. You're not going to see the Great Wall of China from Italy. Let's just put it into perspective, Like, come on.
Gotcha. And thanks so much for your...
You're not going to see the Statue of Liberty from Toronto because...
Of?
That's it. That's all I heard. Because.
I want you to finish it.
Because what?
Next.
You know it. Because of the height, because of what I just explained to you, man. Are you not listening? That's the problem. You don't like the talk. You just want to talk yourself. But anyway, next question.
I've barely got a word in edgewise here. You just say things because. And
no,
that's
you say things. You say things without finishing the discussion. Like, "Wow, I can't see that far." End of subject. Oh, it must be a ball. Like, come on, Mark. Like, you're 52. You said, like, let's get past this. I actually really enjoy the discourse. I enjoy the discussion. It keeps me on my toes. But I want it to be real.
I want
go to the
next one.
I want like to be real, like two adults just having a good old chat. And, that's why I'll say I don't know.
We are going to have to go to the next one.
We agree. You do not know. We agree.
I'll say it when I don't know. You're still Googling. You still haven't done the world record photo.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Tim Pryor. My wife Google if Australia's been to the International Space Station.
What are their names? What are their names?
Look it up.
Next up, we must.
I am. You should know it. Tell you what.
We must go to the next one. Tim Pryor. Tim Pryor, thanks for your question, said, typical flat earther. I witnessed the 24-hour sun myself, and he told me to Google it.
Oh, it was Andy Thomas. You're right. It was Andy. I shouldn't have said. Andy Thomas did, yeah.
All right.
He's from Adelaide.
We'll talk about your friend Andy later, but Tim Pryor says, typical flat earther. I witnessed the 24-hour sun myself, and he told me to Google it.
Did you take any video of this phenomenon? Did you take video? The person take video? Man, I'd love to see that. Imagine if I went to Antarctica, something I'd never been to, and I saw the 24-hour sun, that I thought, hey, the rest of the world would see this. I could get 50 million views on YouTube on this. I could retire for the rest of my life just simply through the views that I'm getting, the view count and the the AdWords at the start of the AdSense payments from the start of the video. But where is your proof? Next. Where? I drove from Melbourne to Adelaide in 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and I actually did. It's doing 200 Ks an hour. But Can I prove it to you? No, because I didn't record it.
Next question. Okay, thank you. David Velar, thanks for your question, said, you dismissed the sun size due to a lack of a measuring technique, but then you speak of the ether, for which you have absolutely no measurement of.
Your measuring technique? How did you measure the distance of the sun? Because you triangulated it? Really?
We can. Yeah, we can. We can. Absolutely.
Who is we?
Absolutely. The educated people, the scientists of the world.
Oh, the scientists of the world. Cool. Appeal to authority, they call that. But anyway, you should go out and do it. If it's so simple that the guy said, oh, we could triangulate it from my back, you're like, do it. Do it, man.
Next up, want to say thanks so much, everybody. That is it for the questions. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Want to say thank you all, whether you be a flat earther, globe earther. We appreciate you hanging out here with us. We appreciate Mark and Billy. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us tonight. It was an interesting one, to be sure. You guys have great chemistry, in my opinion. So thank you, guys. We really appreciate you and want to remind you folks that they're linked in the description. So if you'd like to hear more from them, you certainly can. We will be back, folks. We have a lot of epic debates coming up in addition to tonight's epic debate. For example, this Saturday, Team Skeptic returns. Billy, have you ever crossed swords with Team Skeptic?
I've seen some of his chats. I think he had one with Nathan. And
he'll be back this Saturday. That should be an interesting one. That's pictured in the bottom right of your screen. And then we're also very excited, as we don't get to have Aaron on very often, but you'll see at the bottom right of your screen, Aaron Raw and T Jump will be partnering up, Christians versus Atheists, against Cliff and Stewart. That's this coming I think, is it this coming Friday or next Friday? I've got to double check on that. I think it's this Friday. And we have a lot of other epic ones, including, this is one, folks, I am thrilled about, super, super excited about, and that is a Bible debate featuring Dr. Bart Ehrman and Jonathan Sheffield. So that's at the end of this month. And with that, want to say thanks so much for hanging out with us, folks. We hope you keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. We will see you again on Friday, and have a great rest of your night. Take care, everybody. What is up, folks? This is the post-credits scene. Want to say thank you so much. Love getting to hang out with you. And this is where I'm like, man, I wish that I got to hang out with you guys more. And so this is just a way I want to say thanks so much. Matt Fours, thanks so much for hanging out here. Stripper Liquor, appreciate you guys. Big Daddy Sheep, New Zealand. You see Nathan Thompson, who's representing the Flat Gang. And yes, Esoteric Eric, very excited as Conspiracy Castle will indeed be back this Saturday. And Timo, thanks for your kind words. So glad that you enjoyed the stream. So it really is fun. And I have to tell you guys, yeah, I'm excited. Thanks, Michael Cariglia, for your kind words. That seriously means a lot. Thanks, Ian Spiker. Glad you enjoyed tonight. I am pumped about all of the awesome stuff that is going on at this channel in the future. And so, by the way, thanks so much. Appreciate that, Matt. And thanks, Callisto, for your warmth and love. And yeah, I'm pumped. We have this is like, Nathan Thompson is in the chat. I haven't even talked to him about this myself, but because we're all a family here, flat earthers, globe earthers, you name it, there is a debate that I'm going to try to set up with Nathan Thompson probably at the end of November. I've got to talk to Nathan about it to confirm that, because he doesn't even know who it is yet. But I promise, if this debate happens, it will be gigantic, epic. It will be of amazing proportions. And so thanks so much for your kind words about the show tonight, Big Daddy Sheep, New Zealand. I cannot agree more on shows that are coming up in the future. Excited about those. And I'm trying to think of, I'm going to pull up the schedule right here just to kind of give any of the extra details. We definitely have, guys, we have an epic economics debate with two economists. One of them is, you could say, legendary. I'd say they're both legendary. One of them's been on Fox News before. We will, on Halloween, have a debate on whether or not, this is our plan at least, Lord willing, we're going to have a debate on, do demons exist? So that should be a juicy one. We will, I'm waiting right now. It's unconfirmed. So we're waiting. We might have Matt Dillahunty on next Friday, the 23rd. That's something I've just got to wait for Matt to give a final confirmation on the exact day and time. And that would be on whether or not there is good evidence for God. So hopefully we see you for that one. And also, let's see here. We have a Dinos and Man debate with Mr. Batman and RJ scheduled for next week. I haven't reached out to Mr. Batman, though, yet. That's embarrassing. But I will. And then T-Jump and Ryan Dawson. That should be another epic debate. Let's see. Tim Pryor, thanks for your super chat, said thousands of videos of the 24-hour sun. And let's see. I want to be careful not to. I don't want to take sides after the speakers have gone, after they've left. So he, let's see. Let me just be careful about what I say here. Thanks for your kind words, Adam. I honestly could not stop laughing on Monday. That honestly just was one of the hardest hardest laughs I've had in a while. Danny Galbart, thanks for your question on possibly getting Simon Dan on. I've reached out to Simon and he's responded before, which is really cool because I know he's a busy guy, and so I'm like thankful whenever we get a response. And I think he said he's like open to the possibility, but it would have to be the right circumstances, if I remember right. And so that's a possibility. I don't know, I can't make any promises, but yeah, we'd love to have him on. That would be epic. And let's see. Tim Pryor, says thousands of videos of the 24-hour sun, and anybody on the planet can go there. Why would I bother taking video of something everybody already knows? That's interesting. I don't fully understand the conceptual difference Wooden Stuff with Steve French says, I think we'd all love it if you could continue on without constantly having T jump on here. I generally agree with him, but him laying down in that chair is annoying as heck. Well, I can talk to Tom about that, his relaxed pose in that chair. Appreciate that feedback. And also, yes, I am super excited that, we're working on a lot of cool stuff. Let me see if there's anything else. We might, depending on Maine Surveyor, if we might try to see if they're up for a debate with Nathan at the end of the month. That's Nathan Thompson. That's something I have to run by Nathan. Or Nathan said he'd be down for it, so I've got to just see if Maine Surveyor would be up for it. Then next month, these are going to be epic, gang. We definitely are trying to get Vegan Gains back on for a veganism debate. That would be cool, but I haven't reached out to him yet, so no promises. We're trying to get Dr. Jonathan McClatchy on for another intelligent design debate early next month. And yes, man, I'm honestly pumped. I'm thrilled about everything that's going on. So want to say thanks so much for your support. For real, folks, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And if you have any questions, please, is there any questions out there? Anything? Let's see. Danny Galbart said, "All good. Glad you tried at least." Appreciate that, Danny. Pleasure's all mine. And Timothy Foster says, T-Jump's chair always wins debates. Couldn't agree more. I mean, that chair is unstoppable. Stupid Horror Energy says, get the vegan couple back on. I agree. Those Annoying Vegans that's the name of their YouTube channel. They are the most charming. I honestly love Brian and Anna. They are honestly super just congenial, fun to watch, fun to listen to, very calm. They just have a calming presence about them, you know? And so Tioga just tuned back in, Too Cool for School. She was in Noka's chat. We might, I don't know. Well, let me know in the chat. I've been thinking about this. I think someone reached out to me recently about a possible debate with Smokey and Brett Keane against Rage and John Peterson. I don't know about this because I can't remember. I could have sworn... I think I got a nasty email from Brett Keane once. I can't even remember. I was like, wait, what? What did I do? So I don't know. But I mean, I don't hold any grudges. But let me know, folks, if you think that, if you're thinking like, that'd be an epic debate, or if maybe you're like, no, like, please, let's not have that debate. And no, Lily B, this is like an unusual thing. We don't usually have these post-credit scenes. This is rare, but it's just that I'm like, man, I never get to hang out with you guys. I honestly totally enjoy it and want to catch up and just hear your ideas as well. So like, feel free to ask questions or comments, insults, whatever you have. I'm all ears. But yeah, I'm not seeing it. Let's see. I don't know how delayed I am in the video, but I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Tioga says at least Knock and John. So Colin Lorenz does not seem like a fan of Brett Keane. Stripper Liquor says, is veganism a religion? That would be a juicy one. I agree. And let's see. Flat Earth Data says, who do I get to debate? One thing is, I got to tell you, folks, it is so hard right now to schedule debates. If you have an opponent, that makes it about 5 times more likely we can host you if you have an opponent you've already reached out to. But otherwise, right now, sometimes when I get emails and someone's like, hey, I'd love to do this topic, can you match me with somebody? And I'm like, I can try, but right now I'm so sleep deprived that it's like, it's just hard to keep up with everything, like right now with like research and teaching and everything else, and then the channel. So do email me at moderndaydebate@gmail.com if you would like to come on. But it helps a lot. Like I said, we can get you on 5 times a higher chance we can get you on if you have an opponent confirmed already. Mr. Anderson, thanks for your feedback, said, I think it would be interesting to see, quote, two, quote, flat earthers debate. It would be nice to see 2 honest people get to the bottom of things. My guess is you're a flat earther. I don't know. So it's like, do you not think any of the globies are honest? All right. Let's see. Stupid or Energy says Brett Keane debate. What's better, chili with cheese or no cheese? And let's see. Robert Page says, James, this is great. How did the recent soy bet go for you? Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was supposed to be if the stream got to 500 likes while it was live, I was going to eat nothing but soy. I don't think it happened while I was live though. I think it's already up to 1,000 likes. People really enjoyed that debate from Monday. That honestly has been crushing it in terms of engagement with likes and comments. Tioga says, "Give me your schedule. Let's talk." I hate to say this. I mean, but I'm a taken man, Tioga. I'm sorry. I know it's not easy to hear, but appreciate the offer. But yeah. So let's see. What else do we have here? So, Fear the Triangle. Stoked to have you here. Hope you're having a great night. Andy M says, yeah. So getting in a debate in the chat. I'm loving it. And let's see. We might. Could I get your guys' opinion? This is like unofficial, off the record. This is like the secret question that I am asking people to kind of get their feedback. And if you guys are like, no, James, seriously, go punch yourself in the face. It's okay. Just let me know. What's up, Willie Pfister? The debate on Monday was Vosh versus Oliver, and it was on climate change, whether or not it's a threat. That was epic. And then Tioga says Knock and John are off the table. They're not going to do it. They're not going to debate Brett Keane, I guess. But let me know what your thoughts are on this. If we did a Kickstarter, we might have a monstrous debate. One of the speakers is, you could say, kind of famous. We wouldn't be. It's really risky in terms of it's an honorarium I've never paid for a speaker. We've paid for a lot of honorariums for a lot of speakers. I think the most expensive debate we've had is we have a couple that were $1,000 for the whole debate. We've had, but we've never had an individual speaker. Just one of the speakers want $1,000 to participate, and we don't blame anybody because it's like they're busy people. They've got things to do. And so they're like, hey, am I going to get paid to prepare for this? And it's like, hey, sounds fair. So this atheist speaker that we would like to have is like I said, famous. And so want to ask, would you guys ever be okay if we did a Kickstarter in order for debate, for people to watch it live? Because we would always have our debates be public. But we were considering hey, to cover the honorarium cost, what if we had it be like $3 per, what's the word? $3 a person to watch it live, and then we put it out afterwards. Big Daddy Sheep NZ says, how famous? I'd say pretty up there. Not Richard Dawkins, but pretty close to that level of kind of oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of one of the bigger superstars in the debate world. And so, but I know that, like I said, that I know that some people might not like the Kickstarter idea. If it's $3 to watch it live, some people might be like, oh, come on, man, a paywall. And I can understand that. Although it's it'd still be live, or it'd still be public afterward. It's just that it would be $3 to watch it live. So it's not really that our debate is per se behind a paywall. It would just be the live viewing. Robert Page asked, James, what would be your favorite topic to host a debate on? It's a great question. I personally love psychology topics. I've kind of drifted toward that since my philosophy days, and I used to be working on philosophy stuff, getting a master's in it, and then I went to psychology. So I do really enjoy the intersection of is religion harmful? That's a super interesting, fun one where it's you can kind of pull empirical data to make your argument. That's one of my favorites. I get a kick out of, I do find it fascinating, listening to ideas of could the flood have happened, or did dinosaurs live with man? I know that that's some of the stuff on our channel that a lot of people like balk at, and they're like, oh, it's like silly. But I got to be honest, I find it interesting, the ideas of like attempted explanations and things like that. Danny Gelbert says Destiny versus Vosh Part 2. That would be epic. The word on the streets is that they are, what's the word I'm looking for? Complete enemies now. I don't know. This is what Bosch said. I hope they're both well. They've both been a huge help for the channel. And Andy M said, you want Matt Dillahunty? We do. So don't want if it's Matt Dillahunty. People get 1,000 for taking out a baller. He said, good. Wait, what are you? You guys are confusing me. I'm trying to put this together. Tioga says yes in all caps. Good for that. It wouldn't be Matt Dillahunty. This debate would be like someone like super, like pretty darn, like basically the head of it's. I don't want to say it when we haven't fully confirmed it. But it would be an epic one. And then let's see. What says knitting? We could fit some knitting in. Timothy Foster says, I could get down with that Kickstarter. Thanks for that support, Timothy. Adam L. Bilia says, taken. Darn, my efforts were futile. That's funny. And then Tioga says, the channel is worth it. I think she's like in favor of it. Thanks, Tioga. You're not so bad after all. Big Daddy Sheep and Z says, in that case, then yes, Kickstarter it up. Yeah, I know that, like, I worry that, okay, so Tioga says, like, initial paywall is cool. So, like, you know, it's just if you want to watch it live. I think that's a great point. That's a big conceptual difference. Michael says, if there's money involved, can we ensure that it's a debate? A lot of folks just bicker. Yeah, that's a good question in terms of, like, more attention to the moderation. By the way, I mean, that's the thing that I'm, like, worried about is I'm, like, anything with money, to be honest, like, I'm like, ooh, you know, like, I don't want people to feel like triggered because the topic of money came up, because it's true. It's a lot of people. That's enough. They're just like, it's like, forget it. I hate you. And like, it's just that it's kind of risky for some of these debates where it's like, we've definitely had some debates. We paid people big bucks. We did not make it up in super chats or ads or anything else. Like, it was just, you know, and we got more subs, so it's cool. Like, we grew, like, we want that, but it is true that some debates it's kind of like, ooh, yeah, I was like, didn't make that up by far. And Big Daddy Sheep says, as long as you release the debate afterward for free, those that want to view it live and contribute $3 is not unreasonable. Thanks for that feedback. I think that's true. I think that makes sense. Rough Rider said, I like your stuff. I don't watch anything that isn't live, though. Thanks, Rough Rider. That's good to know. And Matt Forrest says, do the Kickstarter either way, though $3 live isn't bad. You do a lot for not so much for us. So there's no shame in doing either option. Appreciate that. Let's see. Michael said, can we ensure it's a debate, not bickering? That's fair. And then, right, big fish, or Big Daddy Sheep, New Zealand. Yeah, it would only be like once. I don't know. This is the only one we have planned, so it wouldn't be every debate. That's for sure. It'd be pretty rare. Manic Panda says, I'm enjoying these post-debates discussion with you, James. I think they're a good idea. Thanks so much, Manic Pandas. Appreciate that. So glad to get to hang out with everybody. And ED says, someone permanently banned my main account from the chat, and I have no idea why. I haven't been on here in weeks. What should I do? Sorry about that, ED. I have no idea who did it, but if you email me at moderndaydebate@gmail.com, what we could do is I could go through that list and get you unbanned if I know your name. Robert Page said, James, have you been a guest on a podcast? Would that be of any interest to you? Pick your brain and promote the show. Would love to. Thanks, Robert. It's easier for me over a fall break, like around Thanksgiving time, if that's not too far away. Otherwise, another idea. Sorry, I'm so tired. Another idea would be winter break. I know that's even further, but it's just that it's like right now working on the doctorate, it's like I'm honestly just surviving. So, thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. Appreciate those positive words. And let's see. Stupido Energy says replace super chats with direct Streamlab donations. That's a good idea. It would be nice. Because I think that way they don't have the YouTube like take 30%, right? And then Robert Page said, I think $3 is super fair if you want to watch it live. Thanks. Appreciate that. That means a lot, folks. It's nice to get that feedback. And that's a good question. Adam Albilia said, on that note, maybe we should try to allocate 3 to 5 non-super chat questions for those who are incapable but still want to be involved. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. That is a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge with time, but I don't see why we can't do at least a little bit at the end. That seems reasonable. And let's see. And it's like, I know that it is kind of triggering to some people. That it's like, hey man, like why you read super chats first, and then sometimes we don't always read all the normal chats, or sometimes we don't read any of them. If we have a lot of super chats, it's just I'm dead, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. But it's just as a way of saying thanks to those who give the super chats. It does help the channel. We are actually super excited. In spring, we plan on doing some like travel debates again. So we do plan on taking a trip down to the Atheist Experience Studio for some debates, as we've gotten along really well with Matt Dillahunty. He's been a pleasure to work with. And so we would be hopefully using some of those funds for just the flights. And then the other thing is, like, when we book venues, is that it's rare to find a free venue. So let's see. Danny Gelbart says, thanks. The only issue here is when you have guests who ramble or outright don't answer things, and it sort of makes it awkward. Good to know. Appreciate that. And Tioga, she's just on one of her old rants. So I'm going to let you go, folks. Tioga scared me away. But for real, though, surreal. Thanks so much, everybody, for your support. Hope you're doing well. We'll talk to you soon. And then let's see. Lily B said I had a couple debate ideas for you. All right. Let me see. If you tagged me, it'll be easier for me to find them. I'm going to peek through here really quick since you already put them in the chat. Otherwise, email me if I can't find them right now. I don't know if I'm seeing them, Lily. Is this some sort of tasteless joke, Lily? Oh, I found it. Okay. Lily B says, I'd like to see debates, a series of debates that are themed, is blank a cult, with topics like veganism, SJWs, various religions, etc., and the word that cannot be said on stream. It starts with a Q. I can't say that word. That gets us in trouble. But yeah, so thanks so much. Dusty Miller says, have you heard of Alden's number? I think I have before. But yeah, thanks so much. By the way, Tioga, thanks for your patience. Folks, as you know, I was pretty hard on Tioga the other night, and so I'm really sorry about that. We have made up. We're cool. That was my fault, and I just totally misunderstood something and went off the handle. And I also was pretty hard on Lucifer Almighty. Basically, what's the word I'm looking for? I think Lucifer just didn't see something, and I assumed Lucifer actually saw it. So I was like, so yeah, it's another one of those things that is like, I agree, I was too hard on Lucifer. Ninetales, I'm like willing to negotiate with in terms of like finding a win-win. If Ninetales wants, the door is open. I'm not against talking to Ninetales if Ninetales wants to talk. So Willie Pfister, thanks for your feedback, said, I honestly don't think you should pay for debaters. They get exposure from being on your channel, unless it's some who will actually bring in tons of new viewers or supporters. I actually think that's true, and we rarely do, Willie Pfister. Thanks for your support, Michael. We rarely pay people. I would say it's like 2 to 3 times a month we probably have like a paid debate. And it's usually those that bring in like big channel growth, because we do want to kind of expand the vision. We are excited about the vision. We're not ashamed of it. And so, like, we're pumped and we're like, hey, we want to grow. We think what we're doing is important. We think it's valuable. That's what we're striving for, at least. And so, thanks so much, folks. We hope you have a great night. I love hanging out with you. I love all your feedback. Thanks for hanging out with me and watching the debate tonight. So, we'll see you soon.